Travis Kelce was unconscious in his hospital bed when Donna Kelce turned to Taylor Swift in the waiting room and said the words that would change everything. "I need you to know something about my son that he's too scared to tell you himself." What Donna revealed in that moment would make Taylor cry tears she didn't know she was capable of, and when Travis woke up hours later, what he learned about that conversation would lead to the most important decision of his life. January 14th, 2025, 4:47 p.m. Arrowhead Stadium was electric with playoff energy as the Kansas City Chiefs faced the Buffalo Bills in what everyone knew would be a make-or-break game. The crowd was deafening, the stakes were impossibly high, and Travis Kelce was having the game of his life. He'd already caught 8 passes for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns, and there were still 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Taylor Swift was in her usual suite, wearing Travis's number 87 jersey over a Chiefs hoodie, her lucky red lipstick perfectly applied despite 4 hours of nail-biting tension. She'd been to dozens of games at this point, but playoff football still made her stomach flip with anxiety every time Travis ran a route over the middle of the field. Donna Kelce was sitting beside her, as had become their tradition during the biggest games. Over the past year and a half, Donna and Taylor had developed a bond that went far beyond the typical boyfriend's mom relationship. They texted each other funny articles, shared recipes, and had inside jokes that Travis pretended to be jealous of but secretly loved. "He's having an incredible game," Donna said, squeezing Taylor's hand as they watched Travis line up for what looked like a crucial third down play. "He's in his element," Taylor agreed, but her voice was tight with the kind of worry that came from loving someone who played a sport where 250-pound men tried to tackle him at full speed. The play call was a crossing route, something Travis had run 1,000 times in his career. The snap was clean, Mahomes dropped back, and Travis cut across the middle of the field exactly as designed. The pass was perfect, spiral tight, right where it needed to be. Travis caught it cleanly at the 35-yard line and turned upfield, looking for the extra yards that could put the Chiefs in field goal range. He never saw the safety coming. The hit was legal, but devastating. Buffalo's safety had been coming full speed from the opposite side of the field, and he caught Travis just as he was turning upfield. The collision was the kind that you could hear even over 80,000 screaming fans, the kind that made everyone in the stadium go quiet for a split second before the reality of what they'd just witnessed set in. Travis went down immediately and didn't get up. Taylor was on her feet before she consciously realized she was moving. Her hands pressed against the glass of the suite window as she watched Travis lying motionless on the field. "No, no, no," she was saying, the words coming out as barely a whisper. Donna was beside her instantly, her own face pale with fear. "He's okay," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "He's taken hits before. He's tough." On the field, the Chiefs' medical team was already surrounding Travis, their movements quick and professional but urgent in a way that made Taylor's chest tight with panic. The stadium had gone completely quiet except for the worried murmur of 80,000 people collectively holding their breath. "Why isn't he moving?" Taylor asked, her voice breaking slightly. "Donna, why isn't he moving?" "Head injuries take time," Donna said, but Taylor could see the worry in the older woman's eyes. "They have to be careful. He probably just got his bell rung." But as the minutes ticked by and Travis still hadn't moved, both women knew this was more serious than a typical football injury. The medical cart was being brought out onto the field, something that rarely happened unless a player couldn't walk off on his own. Taylor's phone was buzzing with texts from friends and family who were watching the game, but she couldn't take her eyes off the field long enough to read them. All that mattered was the man lying on the grass 100 yards away from her, surrounded by people in white coats who were being very careful about how they moved him. "I need to get down there," Taylor said suddenly, turning toward the door of the suite. "Taylor, wait," Donna said, catching her arm. "They won't let you on the field. Security won't allow it." "Then I'll wait by the tunnel. I'll wait wherever they'll let me wait, but I can't just sit here watching from a window." Donna nodded, understanding completely. Let's go. The journey from the suite to the stadium's medical level felt like it took hours, though it was probably only 10 minutes. During that time, Travis was carefully loaded onto a stretcher and transported off the field to scattered applause from fans who were hoping the clapping meant good news. By the time Taylor and Donna reached the family waiting area outside the team's medical facility, Travis was already being evaluated by doctors. A team official approached them immediately, his expression serious but reassuring. "Mrs. Kelce, Ms. Swift," he said, nodding to each of them. "Travis is conscious and responsive, which is a very good sign. They're running some tests now to check for a concussion and any neck or spine injuries, but his initial neurological responses have been positive." Taylor felt her knees go weak with relief. "Can we see him?" "Not yet. They're still evaluating him, and then they'll be transporting him to Kansas City General for more comprehensive testing. You can follow the ambulance and wait there." The next 2 hours were a blur of Kansas City traffic, hospital corridors, and the particular kind of anxiety that comes from waiting for medical news about someone you love. By the time they arrived at the hospital, Travis had already been admitted and was undergoing a series of tests including CT scans and neurological evaluations. Dr. Sarah Chen, the neurologist handling Travis's case, met with Taylor and Donna in a family consultation room that felt too small and too sterile for the magnitude of worry they were both carrying. "Mr. Kelce has a significant concussion," Dr. Chen explained, "but all of our tests indicate no structural damage to his brain or spine. He's conscious and oriented, though he's experiencing some dizziness and nausea, which is normal with this type of injury." "When can we see him?" Donna asked. "Soon. We're moving him to a private room for observation. We'll need to keep him overnight to monitor for any changes, but his prognosis is very good. However, I do want to warn you that concussion patients often experience some confusion and memory issues for the first 24 to 48 hours after the injury." That evening, as they sat in the hospital waiting room while Travis slept under medical observation, Taylor and Donna found themselves alone together in a way they'd never been before. Not at a game or a family dinner or a casual visit, but in a moment when all the usual social conventions fell away and they were just two women who loved the same man, worried sick about his well-being. "I've never been this scared," Taylor admitted, curled up in one of the uncomfortable hospital chairs with a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. "I have," Donna said quietly. "When he was in college, he broke his leg during a game, had to have surgery, and there were complications with the anesthesia. For about 6 hours, we didn't know if he was going to wake up." Taylor looked over at her, seeing a vulnerability in Donna's face that she'd never witnessed before. "That's when I realized," Donna continued, "that having children means spending the rest of your life with your heart walking around outside your body. Every game, every practice, every time he gets in his car, there's this little voice in the back of my mind that worries something might happen to him." "How do you handle it?" Taylor asked. "You learn to trust that you raise them to be strong and smart and careful, and you hope that when the big moments come, they'll be surrounded by people who love them as much as you do." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, both processing the events of the day and what they meant. Then Donna said something that would change everything. "Taylor, can I tell you something about Travis that he's probably too stubborn or too scared to tell you himself?" Taylor nodded, sensing that this was going to be important. "That boy has been talking about marrying you since your 3rd date," Donna said, her voice soft but certain. "Not in a crazy way, not like he was planning to propose after 3 dates, but in the way that people talk when they've found their person and they know it." Taylor felt her breath catch. "What do you mean?" "I mean, he calls me every week, and for the past year and half, every conversation has included something about your future together. Not just next month or next season, but your future. Where you're going to live when you have kids, what kind of wedding you'd want, whether you'd want him to keep playing football or if you'd prefer he retire and focus on business." Tears were starting to form in Taylor's eyes, but Donna wasn't finished. Last month, he asked me about my engagement ring, not because he wanted to propose with it, but because he wanted to know what it meant to me when his father gave it to me. He wanted to understand what a ring symbolizes to a woman, beyond just the jewelry. "Donna," Taylor whispered, but the older woman held up her hand. "I'm telling you this because I need you to know how serious he is about you. Not just the fun parts, not just the excitement of dating Taylor Swift, but the real parts. The parts where you're sick with the flu and not glamorous. The parts where you have creative crises and need someone to just listen. The parts where you're 80 years old and your knees hurt and you can't remember where you put your glasses." Taylor was crying now, not the dramatic sobs of earlier, but quiet tears that came from a place of overwhelming gratitude and love. "He talks about you the way I always hoped one of my sons would talk about the woman he wanted to spend his life with," Donna continued. "Like you're not just his girlfriend, but like you're his family, like you're home." "I feel the same way about him," Taylor managed to say through her tears. "I know you do, honey. I can see it in how you look at him, how you fit into our family, how you worry about him the same way I do. But I also know that your life is complicated in ways that most people can't understand. And I worry that sometimes you might think you're too much for him, or that this world is too much for him." Taylor nodded, because Donna had hit on one of her deepest fears. "So I need you to know," Donna said, reaching over and taking Taylor's hands in hers, "that my son doesn't just love you despite the complications. He loves you because of them. He loves that you're extraordinary. He loves that you're ambitious and talented and that you have a platform to change the world. He doesn't want you to be smaller so he can feel bigger. He wants to be worthy of standing beside someone as incredible as you are." "Donna, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know, especially after today, after seeing how scared we both were, that this isn't just some celebrity romance for him. You're not just his girlfriend. In his mind, in his heart, you're already his wife. You're already the mother of his future children. You're already the person he wants to grow old with." Before Taylor could respond, a nurse appeared in the doorway of the waiting room. "Mrs. Kelce? Miss Swift? Mr. Kelce is awake and asking for you both." The walk down the hospital corridor to Travis's room felt both endless and too short. Taylor's mind was spinning with everything Donna had just told her, trying to process the magnitude of Travis's feelings and what they meant for their future. When they entered his room, Travis was sitting up in bed, looking pale and tired but alert. His face lit up when he saw them, though he winced slightly at the movement. "Hey, beautiful," he said to Taylor, his voice slightly hoarse. "Sorry I scared you." "Don't you dare apologize," Taylor said, moving immediately to his bedside and taking his hand. "How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck, but the doctors say I'm going to be fine. No permanent damage, just need to rest for a few days." "Thank God," Donna said, kissing his forehead. "You took 10 years off my life today." As they talked about the game, the injury, and Travis's recovery timeline, Taylor noticed that Travis seemed more focused somehow, more intentional in the way he was looking at her. She wondered if it was just the concussion making him more emotional, or if something deeper had changed. Later that evening, when Donna was getting ready to leave for the night, she asked Taylor to grab them some coffee from the machine down the hall. The moment Taylor left the room, Donna moved closer to Travis's bed. "Travis, I need to confess something to you," she said quietly. "Taylor, she was so distraught and scared today. I felt like I needed to say something to comfort her. So I told her about your plans, about the ring, about your future dreams. I told her everything." Travis smiled weakly. "It's okay, Mom. I'm not mad that you spoiled the surprise. Maybe it was something we both needed to hear." When Taylor returned with the coffees, Donna hugged her and said, "I love you both," before leaving them alone. Once they were alone in the room, Taylor settled into the chair beside Travis's bed. It was Travis who broke the silence. "Mom talked to me before she left," Travis said, his voice still slightly hoarse. "About what?" Taylor asked, feeling a wave of anxiety. "She told me what she said to you," Travis said. "About the ring, about my plans for our future. She felt bad about spoiling the surprise." Taylor's cheeks burned with embarrassment. "Travis, I swear I didn't ask. She just—" "Taylor, stop," Travis interrupted gently. "I'm not upset. Honestly, I'm grateful." "Grateful?" Travis shifted in his bed so he could see her better, despite the dizziness the movement caused. "I've been carrying this ring around for 3 months, Taylor, just trying to find the right moment, that perfect romantic moment that would be worthy of you." Taylor's breath caught. "The ring. You have it with you?" "Yes," Travis said. "And you know what's ironic? I had planned for that perfect moment to be tonight. After we won the game, in the middle of all the celebration. I was going to ask you then. The ring was in my bag at the stadium." Travis winced in pain as he reached toward his bedside table. "When I was unconscious, they brought my belongings and bag to the room. I asked the nurse to help me get this out of my bag just a little while ago." Travis opened the drawer and pulled out a small velvet box that made Taylor's heart stop completely. "This isn't how I planned to do this," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "I wanted to be healthy, to be able to get down on one knee properly, to give you the romantic proposal you deserve." "Travis, you don't have to—" "Yes, I do," he said firmly, "because today showed me that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Today showed me that life is fragile and unpredictable, and if something had happened to me, if that hit had been worse, you would never have known how completely and totally I am in love with you." He opened the box, revealing a stunning oval-cut diamond that caught the light from the hospital room's fluorescent fixtures and somehow still managed to look magical. "Taylor Allison Swift," Travis said, his voice steady despite his obvious emotion. "Will you marry me? Will you be my wife and my family and my forever person? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that my mom was right, that you're not just my girlfriend, you're my home?" Through her tears, Taylor could barely see the ring, but she could see Travis's face clearly, and in his eyes she saw everything Donna had told her about. She saw the future he'd been planning, the life he'd been imagining, the love he'd been too scared to fully express until a football injury forced his hand. "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes, of course. Yes." Travis slipped the ring onto her finger with hands that shook slightly from emotion and residual effects of the concussion, and then Taylor was kissing him, careful of his injuries but unable to contain her joy. "I love you," she said against his lips. "I love you so much, and I can't wait to be your wife." "I love you too," Travis replied, "and I promise you, as soon as I'm cleared to leave this hospital, we're going to plan the most incredible wedding." But what happened next would become family legend, the story they'd tell at every anniversary and family gathering for the rest of their lives. A nurse who had been checking on Travis hourly chose that exact moment to enter the room. She took one look at Taylor's tear-streaked face and the ring on her finger, and without missing a beat, she said, "Well, it's about time. I've been working this ward for 15 years, and I've never seen anyone look at someone the way you two look at each other." 6 months later, when Travis and Taylor would exchange vows in a ceremony that blended her love of storytelling with his love of family traditions, Donna Kelce would be the one to walk Taylor down the aisle. Not because Taylor's father wasn't there, but because she and Travis both agreed that Donna had been the one to make their marriage possible, by having the courage to speak the truth about love when it mattered most. The next morning, when Travis was discharged from the hospital with strict instructions to rest for 2 weeks, the first call he made was to Jason. "Hey, big brother," Travis said, his voice still weak but happy. "I need to tell you something." "How are you feeling, man? That hit looked terrible on TV." "I'm okay. Concussion, but I'll be fine. But that's not why I'm calling." Travis paused, looking at Taylor, who was sitting beside him in their car, her engagement ring catching the morning sunlight. "I asked Taylor to marry me last night." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long that Travis thought the call had dropped. "Jason, you there?" "You proposed to Taylor Swift in a hospital room?" Jason finally said, and Travis could hear the grin in his voice. "It wasn't planned that way, but yeah." "And she said yes?" "She said yes." "Well, I'll be damned. Leave it to you to turn a concussion into a proposal story. Mom's gonna lose her mind when she hears this." "She already knows. She's the reason it happened." When they got home that afternoon, Travis immediately called his father, who cried on the phone. Then Taylor called her parents, who also cried. Then they called Taylor's publicist, who had a minor panic attack about announcing an engagement so soon after a head injury, but ultimately agreed that the story was too beautiful not to share. But the most important call was the one Donna made to her sister Linda, Travis's aunt, who had always been skeptical about his relationship with Taylor. "Linda," Donna said, unable to keep the joy out of her voice, "you're not going to believe what happened." "What now?" "Travis proposed to Taylor last night, in the hospital, after his concussion." "He did what? In a hospital room? That boy has lost his mind." "No, Linda, I think he finally found it, and she said yes." The silence on Linda's end was telling. She'd been the family member who worried most about Travis getting too deep too fast, with someone as famous and complicated as Taylor Swift. But something about the romance and spontaneity of a hospital room proposal seemed to change her perspective. "You know what?" Linda said finally. "Good for them. If they can find love in a hospital room after a head injury, they can probably handle anything life throws at them." That night, as Travis and Taylor settled into bed early per doctor's orders, they talked about their future with a clarity and certainty that neither of them had ever felt before. "I keep looking at my ring," Taylor said, holding her hand up to catch the light from their bedside lamp. "Any regrets about accepting a proposal from a concussed football player in a hospital room?" Travis asked, pulling her closer. "None whatsoever," Taylor said firmly. "You know what I keep thinking about?" "What?" "Your mom. What she said to me in that waiting room, about how you talk about me like I'm already your family." "You are my family. You have been for a long time." "I know that now. But before today, I think I was still waiting for the other shoe to drop, still expecting you to realize that my life is too complicated or too public or too much." Travis turned to face her fully. "Taylor, your life isn't too much. Your life is exactly the right amount of everything. The complications, the success, the attention, all of it. That's not stuff I have to tolerate to be with you. That's stuff I get to be part of because I'm with you." "I love you," Taylor said, and she meant it in a way that felt deeper and more complete than ever before. "I love you too, and in a few months, I get to call you my wife." "Mrs. Kelce," Taylor said, testing the sound of it. "Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?" They fell asleep that night planning their wedding, their voices getting quieter and more sleepy as they talked about venues and guest lists and whether they wanted a spring or summer ceremony. But the last thing Travis said before drifting off was something that would stick with Taylor forever. "Thank you for saying yes, even though I couldn't get down on one knee." "Travis," Taylor whispered back, "you've been down on one knee for me every day since we met. The ring was just a formality. What do you think about this incredible story of how a scary injury led to the most honest conversation about love and the perfect proposal? Have you ever had a moment of crisis that made you realize what really mattered in your relationship? Share your thoughts about how sometimes the worst moments can lead to the most beautiful outcomes, because love has a way of finding its perfect timing, even in the most unexpected circumstances. The ring Travis gave Taylor that night wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol of everything Donna had told her in that hospital waiting room, that real love doesn't wait for perfect moments. It creates them. And sometimes the most beautiful proposals happen in hospital rooms, with fluorescent lighting and the smell of antiseptic in the air, because love doesn't need the perfect setting to be perfect. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that the most important conversations about love often happen in the most unexpected places, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories about how celebrities navigate the real moments that define their relationships. Because sometimes the most beautiful love stories are the ones that begin with someone's mother having the courage to speak the truth about what love really looks like.